Wrong. Now, what is the true cost of the government's green agenda? GB News can reveal that Labour's green energy subsidies are costing British households a total of £12 billion a year. Yeah.
£12 billion a year, the deranged march to net zero, some call it. This equates to an average extra cost of £450 per household each and every year.
So has net zero gone too far? Director of Net Zero Watch, Andrew Montford, and environmentalist Donica McCarthy joins us now. I'm going to start with you, Donica. You are in the studio. So what do you think? Has it gone too far? Because it's starting to cost us a fortune, and I'm not seeing the comeback yet.
Yeah, well, these figures are nonsense. It's like actually looking at your personal account and thinking, what's in my credit card costing? It's £100, and ignoring my bank account, which has £2,000 in it. Because what this report is doing, it's looking at the investment costs, but not looking at the savings. So I'll give you some examples. The green investment in insulation for housing, it means that energy bills for houses are saving between £400 and £1,400 per household. Greener, more efficient boilers are saving people £300 to £400 a year. The cost of running our fridge is 70% less. So we should need to look at the savings as well as the cost.
Sorry, Donica, where I thought energy prices were rising.
They are.
So how is it that the cost of running your fridge is cheaper? I'm not hearing that. People are paying more for their energy because of one of the reasons this race to net zero.
Yeah, you're mixing up two things. You're mixing up the cost of the electricity per kilowatt and the amount of kilowatts needed to run your fridge.
Yeah, but it's still
so the number of kilowatts needed to run your fridge are down by 70%. The cost of the remaining kilowatts is up, and the reason why it's up, this is really important, it's every single report over the last 2 months has said the reason why British electricity prices are the most expensive in Europe are for one reason only, because our electricity price is linked to the cost of fossil fuels.
Okay, but the bottom line...
Cost of fossil fuels is why our electricity price is high.
You telling me that, well, because of this and that, the bottom line is the cost is up.
Yes.
Andrew Montford.
Because of fossil fuels.
No, Andrew Montford.
Yeah, that is not actually correct. I mean, there's a lot of things that Donica said that weren't correct. Those numbers are not nonsense. They come from the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility, and they are the cash cost of those expenditures every year. They are not the investment cost at all. That is what it's actually costing us in cash terms, £450 per household. So the reason that electricity prices have gone up in the last year or two is partly to do with the price of gas. It's also partly to do with the fact that in 2022, half of the French nuclear fleet was out, so we had to export electricity rather than importing it. If you look at the long term, there is absolutely no doubt at all that the price of electricity has gone up because of the cost of renewables. This is clear from the Ofgem data, which shows that more than half of the increase is caused by renewables. It's renewable subsidies, and it's paying wind farms to switch off when we can't get the power to market. This is an insane way of doing things. We now have almost the most expensive electricity in the developed world. And there are plenty of other countries that run on gas as well. So why is our electricity more expensive than theirs? And we never get the answer to this.
We do get the answer. The Climate Change Committee and the Ember report last week said the reason why Britain's electricity is more expensive is because our electricity price is linked irrevocably to the cost of fossil fuels. No, there are actually many countries in Europe that have more green electricity, and their electricity price are a quarter of ours. I'll give you a list. Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Latvia, Estonia, Austria all have more green electricity, and their price is a quarter of ours. The reason why the UK electricity
Let him tell you why. Let him respond. Go on.
Okay, because they have hydroelectricity, and hydroelectricity is great. It's really cheap. We don't have the geography to do hydroelectricity. So, let's move on. We can't do that. So green electricity, if you like, renewables, wind and solar is more expensive.
No, that's not true.
All the countries with the most expensive electricity,
the International Energy Agency,
lots of wind and solar.
The International Energy Agency has stated very categorically that wind and solar are the most cheapest energy in the United Kingdom per megawatt. Solar is £38 per kilowatt, and fossil fuels is £114 per kilowatt.
Donica, can I just ask, have you taken into account the amount we're paying the wind farms to be switched off?
Yes.
Because what you're saying is they're cheaper, but we are paying a fortune for the fact that to make sure they don't go on.
We paid them £65 million a couple couple of weeks ago to stop running.
Yeah. So have you factored that into your figure?
I agree.
Have you factored that in? Have you factored that in?
It costs.
Have you factored that in?
I have factored into the fact the comparative cost of each thing. No, let me deal with the billion. Let me deal with the £1 billion.
Well, I asked you a question. I asked you. You said it. You made a statement saying that solar and wind are cheaper.
These
and
are
I said, well, have you factored in?
them.
I said, have you factored in the cost of switching off the wind farms into your statement that they're cheaper? Because that's part of the cost.
The £1 billion cost of turning off the wind farms is actually a problem. I agree with you. The reason why, but it's a success because that means.
So you haven't factored
because
that
that means we are producing too much green energy, and that should be used to run green hydrogen power plants so that we can have green energy all the way around and our bills. Which
okay.
The problem with
final word.
The problem with Andrew.
Andrew, you've got about 10 seconds. Final word to you, briefly.
Yeah. It's nonsense. The costs have been going up for 20 years. They're going to keep going up unless we change course. We need to change course soon if we want to keep any manufacturing industry in this country.
All right. Listen, Andrew, Montford, Donica McCarthy, thank you very much. Very interesting.
Thank you very much, both.